Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and good Yontif. I am Rob Lennick, the CEO of the Jewish Federation, here to share some reflections for Shabbat and for the holidays that are upon us once again. Friday is Hoshana Rabbah, where in ancient times in the temple in Jerusalem, they would beat the branches onto the ground and symbolize the bringing of rain, and the prayers for rain commence, of course, at this time of year. We also have Shmini Atzeret coming up on Saturday, and I'll say more about that in just a moment. And then Sunday, Simchat Torah, the wonderful celebratory holiday we're so used to sharing in person, where we dance with the Torah and we finish at the end of Deuteronomy and we start over again. And we do this cyclically year after year after year. To begin with, listen, we're living in difficult times. And for many people, this might feel like a time that breeds pessimism. But I want to suggest to you that if we just open our hearts and minds to the spirit of Jewish tradition, we find out that Judaism is very much about optimism. In fact, I often talk about the Jewish experience as one rooted in a hopeful realism. No matter what comes our way in life, Judaism counsels us to be realistic, to look at the facts, to look at the science, to be logical, and at the same time to be hopeful. And we can help generate hope through our attitudes and through being open to new possibilities. And really, when we talk about so many different aspects of Jewish tradition, we see this inherent and very explicit message about optimism. The first way to recognize that is just look at all the different cycles that we celebrate in Jewish tradition. Simchat Torah coming up Sunday, where we begin and the Torah over again after concluding, but we do that again and again and again, year after year after year, in an unending cycle of learning and telling our stories. And then we have all the many birthdays we celebrate every year. Tu B'Shvat, the birthday of trees. Tu B'Av, the birthday for grapes. And how about Rosh Hashanah, the birthday of the world? Again, these are cycles that never end. It just goes around and around and around. And then, of course, Pesach celebrates the cycle of planting, and Sukkot celebrates the cycle of harvesting. And we realize that in Judaism, we celebrate that life is an ongoing, evolving, changing process that never ends. And we do so optimistically because we see in every moment of life opportunities for change and for growth and for learning. And ultimately, all that adds up to having a life that is more meaningful, even in the face of the worst challenges one could imagine. And the holidays themselves, if we think about them and look at the structure of these holidays, they also provide us reinforcement not to give up hope and to remain optimistic. And here's what I mean about that. We have this motif of the book of life, the Sefer Chaim, and we are taught that on Rosh Hashanah, the decree is written, and on Yom Kippur it is sealed. And that can be a kind of a dreadful concept, that we have to have all the work of our lives and the repairing of our relationships and the teshuvah, the changing direction of our lives, all done within this 10-day period. They give us 9 days to work on our human relationships, 1 day to work on our relationship with God. And at the end of Yom Kippur and the Ne'ilah prayers, we, in a sense, there's this motif of us begging God, keep the gates open just a little bit longer, keep the gates open. But it turns out that according to Jewish tradition, the gates don't actually close on Yom Kippur. First of all, we're taught that Shmini Atzeret, which literally means the 8th day stop, 8 days after the beginning of Sukkot. The Talmud taught that the gates actually remain open extra long, and if you didn't get all your teshuvah completed, you have until Shmini Atzeret, where it stops, where it actually comes to conclusion and the gates presumably close. But you know what? Even with that in Jewish tradition, we find out that the gates actually never close at all. Because the day before every Rosh Chodesh, which is the beginning of the new Jewish month, the day before Rosh Chodesh is called a Yom Kippur Katan, a mini Yom Kippur. And that was derived out of Kabbalistic thinking with the notion that when the moon would disappear for the new month, because new moon means new month in Jewish tradition, when the moon would disappear, it actually created this spiritual space for Teshuvah to rise to the heavens. And so every month, the day before the new month begins, we have yet again, another opportunity to give prayers of Teshuvah and to focus on improving our lives. What could be more optimistic than that? The fact that it's throughout the year we have the opportunity to grow and to change, to make new choices. You know, there's a concept in Jewish tradition about forgiveness that says, you know, if we commit a transgression, we're not forgiven when we apologize, and we're not forgiven even if we make a reparation. The real moment of forgiveness happens when the next time we're in the same situation and we do it the right way. So again, there's this tremendous sense of optimism that the gates, the Sharei Teshuvah, they never close in our understanding of the many cycles of life. And so the message for us right now in the midst of this, oh my goodness, overwhelming, confusing world in which we are living is that the prospect of growth, the prospect of change is unending, given the messages of our Jewish tradition. And for that, we can be really grateful. Shabbat Shalom and good Yontif to you and yours. Stay safe, stay healthy, and all the best.